Got a great guest standing by, Ioan Grillo. He's been living in Mexico and reporting on narco politics. He's got a great Substack. Let's go ahead and put it up there on the screen, discussing AMLO's government recapturing El Chapo's son, slaying the demon of El Culiacan. So we have him to join us now to talk not only about this, the cartel violence, but also President Biden's visit to Mexico. Ioan, thanks so much for coming back on the show. We appreciate it.
Great to see you.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks.
So why don't you give us the context of the capture of El Chapo's son right ahead of Joe Biden's visit to Mexico, his first visit as president of the United States, and also what the AMLO government is trying to accomplish with all of this. There's been a lot of careful stage managing happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, the timing, it's always hard to believe this is a coincidence. There's a history in Mexico of every time a Mexican president meets an American president, capture a big narco, make a big seizure. And when they're having these conversations, and Biden was particularly going down with a mandate of saying, I'm going to ask about fentanyl, because why is it that so much fentanyl is coming through Mexico right now? Then AMLO can answer at least, well, we're fighting, we're capturing these guys. Look what we did last Thursday, and we're even taking casualties doing this. Now, the particular importance of Ovidio Guzman is really, he became a symbol after 2019 when there was an attempt to arrest him by soldiers in an anti-narcotics unit in 2019. And they pinned him down in a luxury house in Culiacan, and 700 gunmen came to his rescue. There was fighting on the streets of the city of Culiacan, Sinaloa, with 700 gunmen against 350 soldiers. And after 4 hours, the government let him go. And so he became really a symbol of impunity and a symbol of the gangsters running things. And people would use this against the president of saying, well, you're either weak or you're corrupt or both. Now, what happened last Thursday was you had a much more sleek operation. They went and they got Ovidio Guzman in a small village, so it's not a tight urban area. And they went in early in the morning, was the first of 2019, was the middle of the day. This was early in the morning when it was still dark. They got him. There was still a fierce gun battle. They got him out, and they flew him to Mexico City before the hitmen took to the streets. Now, there was still a lot of crazy fighting. The official numbers were 29 dead, including 10 soldiers. So a lot of cost of lives. And it could be a lot more, because in many cases, the gunmen will take away the bodies of their people and take them themselves. So they won't be going to in the official count.
Talk to me about, AMLO. This was obviously embarrassing for him when he had to back down and they had to let Ovidio go. But he is incredibly popular. I mean, by some metrics, he's the most popular world leader on the planet. What is it that people have really respected about him and appreciated about his leadership?
Yeah, I would say AMLO plays a kind of populist game quite well. And a lot of, he uses, in some ways, the same way that like a leader like Trump did or some other populists, but he kind of has a broader support, I would say, than Trump, or the country's not quite as fiercely divided as in the case of Trump. And in some ways, he's had a certain steady hand of leadership. Now, some of his critics will disagree with this. Some of his critics do think he's the kind of, he's really doing a lot of these bad things. But if you look at Mexico the last 4 years and through the pandemic, which is a very, very difficult time, there's been a kind of certain steady hand of leadership, and it's still this kind of playing up of certain ideas of regaining the nationalism of Mexico, which appeals to a lot of people. So I wouldn't say, I don't think the figures are the most popular in the world, but certainly maintained a level of popularity in a very difficult time.
I was just in Mexico. There was some discussion about hugs, not bullets, kind of being the original doctrine. You've actually written about that on your Substack. What does this usher in, like a new era for how AMLO is going to treat the drug cartels, especially with so much pressure from the Biden administration? Is he abandoning that? Was it a front? Like, what do you make of the way that he's handled the cartels the last couple of years?
Yeah, so I think that the hugs, not bullets has basically gone now in most ways. Really, it was a notion at the beginning when he first was running for presidency in 2018. It was this idea of, okay, we've had this horrific war the last 15 years. We're going to have a reconciliation. We're going to need to make up. This violence is over. Now, in some ways, there's a certain point to that. I can understand this. I mean, you've seen this horrible violence and trying to end this whole kind of war on drugs thing. The problem is the reality of what do you actually do? And the reality is that the cartels, they're not, I mean, they're trafficking drugs and making billions of dollars, and that's funding them and financing, but they're all financing them then. But they're also in a whole bunch of different rackets. They're also involved in human smuggling with the migrants on the border, with theft of oil, with arms trafficking, with prostitution, with illegal mining, and with all of these things. And you can't really just kind of go back and give them space or just allow these gangsters to operate. So I think he kind of already gradually moved away from the hugs, not bullets, kind of gradual thing, didn't really have many concrete policies for that. And the flip side, he's moved more and more towards supporting the military and he built up this new force called the National Guard, and then he handed that to the military effectively. And so you've got a more bolstered and powerful military in the country as well.
Do these, as a practical matter though, do these tactics actually work? So if you take out a leader and lock them up, if you have a big seizure and, or interdict a bunch of drugs, does it actually slow the flow of drugs across the border? Does it decrease the supply that's ultimately available here in the U.S.?
It was, yeah. I mean, you've really kind of hit the point there, Krystal, with the, it doesn't, and that's one of the issues they come around. I mean, especially with Ovidio Guzman, he's one of 4 of these brothers in this one faction of the Sinaloa cartel, and the Sinaloa cartel is one of many cartels. So still many people are moving drugs. Now, with the issue of fentanyl, and I was over at the port of Manzanillo recently on the Pacific coast, where a lot of the fentanyl comes in from China, or the ingredients coming from China. And yeah, I mean, there's huge amounts coming through, and there's other big issues like corruption in the people running the ports, corruption in the officials and the military itself, moving these drugs as well. So that, I don't think just this kind of taking down kingpins does. Now, I've been covering for 20 years this war on drugs and many things, and often been a critic of the fundamentals of the war on drugs. However, with the severity of fentanyl, with the level of deaths you're seeing right now in the United States, and it really is, I mean, the 107,000 overdose deaths in 2021, I mean, that really is a mind-boggling number, the way it's gone up. And I really don't know what you do really about fentanyl and crystal meth that are causing so much harm.
Interesting. And so then broadly, do you anticipate more cartel violence in the months to come after a relative lull, I guess, in the last couple of years? Like, is this the opening shot as a result of U.S. pressure?
I would say yes, drug cartel violence will continue. I mean, I wouldn't say there's really been a relative lull the last couple of years. I mean, it's been, this last year we've seen a slight reduction of murders compared to the year before. But still, if you look at the last few years, Mexico in every year is registering official numbers of well over 30,000 murders.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
very, very brutal levels of violence there.
Yeah, an important point. And we really appreciate your reporting. You're literally on the ground, been covering this for a long time. We're going to plug your Substack. It's right in the description of this video. We encourage you guys to go ahead and subscribe. Some of the best reporting from actually on the ground and a very knowledgeable person. So we appreciate you joining us. Thank you, sir.
Great to see you, Ioan.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks much.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Love being back here in the studio, Krystal. And it's a pleasure to say Counterpoints is tomorrow. The graphic is fixed. We've got some fun announcements and all that coming up. Of course, the live show as well. And we'll be teasing and introducing some new things for our premium subscribers that you guys can vote to improve on and build out from the set and etc. So I think you guys will really, really enjoy that. But Counterpoints tomorrow, regular show Thursday. Other than that, I think that's it. We love you guys.
Yep. Love y'all. See you soon. Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.